Y'all know the name.
Okay, I've got something for you. The new parts have been fitted to the car. The simulation numbers are good, so look forward to your feedback. Check out the details.
What's going on, guys? My name is Martinho and welcome back to Formula 1 2016 Part 5, Round 5 from the Catalunya circuit in Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix. And as our engineer has just said, we have our two new parts fitted to the car. So our first downforce upgrade, the front wing turning veils, and we've also got our second drag upgrade fitted as well. Apologies it's taken so long to get this episode out. I have been quite busy with Forza, so this is kind of taking a back seat, but I'm getting back into this now, and hopefully we're going to progress, and hopefully about 3 episodes a week is what I'm shooting for now. So yeah, Spanish Grand Prix, not one of my favourites admittedly. It's never been a track that has treated me particularly well, so I don't know what's going to happen. On the upgrade front for the other teams though, Mercedes have made 2 upgrades, so they have done a engine upgrade, and they have also upgraded their fuel consumption as well, so that does not bode well for the rest of us. Haas have made 3 upgrades, and McLaren have made a couple of upgrades as well. So Haas and McLaren, they are teams that are kind of around about where we are, so hopefully we can continue to do well against them, but it is going to be a little bit more difficult now because they have got improved cars under them. The driver rivalry, I'm still leading by 7 points over Carlos Sainz, but this is Carlos Sainz's home Grand Prix, so again it may be a little bit difficult, but hopefully I can come out of this Grand Prix and still be ahead of him in the driver rivalry. But yeah, let's head down to practice now. So the practice sessions didn't go too badly. Track acclimatization, because it is a track I'm a lot more accustomed to than I was in the previous Grand Prix at Russia. I didn't actually do too badly, and I went purple through that. I didn't do too well in the qualifying one though, I only went green in that, but the tyre management I did go purple also, which gained us quite a lot of points. So I think we had about 100 and something odd points at the start of the race, but now we have 357, so with a good result in qualifying and the race itself, we might be able to get that second downforce upgrade, which I think is going to be important heading into the Monaco Grand Prix.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
I'm just passing on your qualifying goals for this weekend.
So the qualifying goals remain fairly straightforward. So beat Jolyon Palmer, beat our rival Carlos Sainz in qualifying, and finish 14th or higher. Beating Carlos Sainz might be a bit difficult because he's had the measure of me over the 3 practice sessions, but Jolyon Palmer I should be able to beat, and I'm hoping that I can get 14th or higher, because if not, it's going to be a really difficult race to try and get any kind of decent result out of this weekend. So moving on to qualifying, and I wasn't particularly optimistic going into qualifying that I'd be able to get a decent result. I was actually anticipating going out in Q1, but we managed to put in a 125.8, which got us into second place early on in Q1. However, as the session went on, it became abundantly clear that I'd have to go out again, which is when this happened. So our Q1 was over with this little excursion into the gravel trap, but we just about scraped through, so we did actually manage to get out of Q1 and make it into Q2, and we beat our rival Carlos Sainz by just over a tenth of a second, or just under 2/10 of a second. So not too bad. It wasn't something I was expecting, but I was happy that we were into Q2 and able to hopefully meet another one of our qualifying goals. And this was my second flying lap in Q2, and I put in a 125.4, which was actually good enough to get me into Q3. So again, I really wasn't expecting to get this far into qualifying, but very thankful that I did, as that gave us a shot at Q3. But realistically, we were never going to get anywhere close to what would be considered a half decent result there. Our time was a little bit slower than our best time of the day, which was in Q2. But we managed to we still started 10th, which again was a lot higher than I thought we'd be starting for this Grand Prix. And the guys ahead of us, looking at it, even if I had improved slightly, they were doing 1:25.2s, which was about 0.2 of a second quicker than my best time throughout the entirety of qualifying. So 10th place starting, not too bad. Again, I wasn't expecting to get that far into qualifying or get this high up the grid, but regardless, it's always going to be a difficult race around here because it is not one of my favourite racetracks. Looking at the resource points from qualifying, we didn't do too badly. We added an additional 106 points, which takes us to 483. But that second downforce upgrade is going to be about 675, so we need about 200 points from that. And in the driver rivalry, we take a real commanding lead going into this, and we now got a 13-point lead leading into the race itself. So hopefully, if we get a half-decent result here and then get a half-decent qualifying and result in Monaco, we should put that rivalry to bed and win rivalry number 2. And we have a voicemail.
Hey, how are you? I have some information on the race goals you should keep in mind.
So here are the race goals. So finish 12th place or higher, place higher in the race in Carlos Sainz, beat Jolyon Palmer, and place 17th or higher in the Drivers' Championship. So I'm got a good feeling I'm going to be able to beat Jolyon Palmer. Carlos Sainz might be a different story depending on how he does. He is going to be starting a lot lower than me on the grid itself, but that's probably going to open up some strategy for him where he may be able to make a one-stop work, which would be very ambitious, but he might be able to make it happen. But yeah, so we've got a commanding lead in the driver rivalry, and we've got a half-decent place to start from in the race itself. So we're just about all set. It's time now to head down to the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix. So here we are, guys, on the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix round 5, and strategy wise, I don't know what this is. Okay, so this is the strategy they have picked out. This is the high tyre management strategy, which looks to be about 9 seconds faster. So could I find 9 seconds over the course of the race? I don't know. I don't think I would be able to. So we'd be coming in on lap number 4 for a very early pit stop and going on to the hard compound tyres, and then coming in again on lap number 21 for the mediums for the final run at the end. So a 2-stop strategy there. 33 lap race. Nothing in this session forecast to suggest there's going to be rain, and we've got 34.3 laps of fuel in the car, so that's probably about what I'd go for there. It means I'll have a little bit extra towards the end of the race to maybe, you know, push it up to a high fuel mix and maybe make up some time and some positions there as well. But yeah, we're going to go with the 2-stop strategy, as it is clearly the fastest strategy, providing I can get some good running on the hard tyres. They haven't been too bad, but not the favoured tyre, I don't think, for this Grand Prix. But there we go then. Cars are all set. Strategies decided. Round 5, Spanish Grand Prix. Let's go. So here we go then. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we're off. And I get a little bit of wheel spin on the initial getaway. My second phase is much better, but Romain Grosjean makes an absolutely incredible start. He ducks between myself and Button and gets himself up into 9th or 8th place. I've got Hulkenberg and Button on the outside of me as it all concertinas up going through the first corner. Button actually gets the position back, and we've dropped back now to 11th place. So we're ahead of the 2 Force Indias, but we're behind Jenson Button and back in 11th. As I start fiddling around with the car settings, I almost end up in the back of the McLaren there. But I get up the inside. Jenson holds it around the outside. I brake a little bit later, do a switchback, and get up the inside, and we actually take 10th position back. So we're now back up into 10th as Jenson also loses a place to the hard-charging Sergio Perez, his former McLaren teammate. So we're up into, we're back in where we started, which is 10th position. But Jenson Button has found himself going backwards, and we're now just behind the fast-starting Romain Grosjean as we come down the back straight. No DRS as of yet. That will not come in until lap number 3. So not a bad start, to be honest with you. the initial getaway, as I said, wasn't particularly brilliant, but we managed to get the position back and remain in 10th position come the end of lap number 10. However, what's really been causing me problems is this chicane and this final corner. All weekend I've struggled with oversteer and not being able to get the power down, and understeer as well, so it's going from oversteer to understeer, back and forth. I haven't been able to find a balance, and that is going to cost me down this back straight, as we've got a very fast Force India on the inside of us now. He has a look down the inside, he looks like he's got the position, but the second corner favours the inside, and I have the inside line, so I managed to just about keep the position and stay in 10th. As we move ahead to what is the middle of lap number 4, I've managed to drop the Force India and get right back on the tail of 9th place, which is now Fernando Alonso, and using DRS I make it a fairly simple move. I do brake a little bit too late, which hangs Fernando out to dry a little bit, but we do get the job done, and we are now up into 9th place. This is towards the end of lap number 5 now, and what will be coming towards my first pit stop. And as I mentioned with the balance, you can see the tyres are absolutely gone. I try and get the power down, but that understeer just strikes again, and I found myself in the gravel trap. So the good work I did trying to build a gap between myself and Sergio Perez is wiped out a couple of corners from the pit stop. As we duck in, he's pretty much right behind us, so we're going to need an absolutely lightning stop from our pit crew in order to hopefully salvage some positions and get out ahead of Fernando Alonso, who pitted 1 lap earlier, as I think that's Jenson Button who's coming just behind us as well. So here we are into the pit box. 2 seconds flat, absolutely lightning, so we needed a fast stop to have any chance of getting out ahead of Fernando Alonso after our little excursion into the gravel trap. And here comes Fernando now, and it looks like we're just going to come out behind him. So as quick as the pit stop was, it looks like that excursion into the gravel trap has really cost us there, and we have dropped a position and behind Fernando Alonso, who is now on the faster white marked medium tyres, and we're on the slower hard tyres. We are going to be able to go a little bit longer into the Grand Prix. However, doing things like this is not going to help the tyre life. And now we've got Jenson Button right on our tail. He'll have DRS coming down this long main straight as I show him the outside of the corner, hoping to defend down the inside. But what I didn't count on is Danny Kvyat coming out of the pits exactly as we arrived. So Jenson Button takes the position around the outside of us, and we've now dropped back into what I believe after the pit stops was about 18th place. However, a couple of cars ahead of us did jump into the pits, and we're now back up to 16th. We've got Carlos Sainz, our rival, just behind us, as we have a little bit of a moment there trying to get through that corner, and we're dropping a little bit further back from Buttons again. Another little moment which has us running wide. So I was really struggling to try and get and keep heat into the tyres and losing traction all the way through. And this final corner was again the basic bane of my existence for this Grand Prix, as Carlos Sainz gets past us, and then we've got a queue forming for everybody else to follow. So Sainz, Kvyat, Gutierrez and Massa all streak past us. I'm absolutely helpless to defend. I think they're all on the faster medium tyres at this part of the Grand Prix. So we dropped 4 positions over the space of a few corners. But a little bit later on into the Grand Prix, as their medium tyres start to go off, it gives me the opportunity on our hard tyres, which have got a little bit extra life left in them, to have a go down to what would be my favourite overtaking place on this Grand Prix, down into turn 7, I believe it is. So we get the job done past Felipe Massa there, and we're now moved up. We've now moved ourselves up back into, I think it was 15th place at that point. Again, moving a little bit further into the Grand Prix though. We are now up into 15th place, and we're behind Gutierrez and Palmer, and Palmer has held up Gutierrez a treat, which gives me an opportunity to again get down the inside into turn number 7, and we get the job just about done. Gutierrez hangs in there as well as he possibly can, but we do manage to get and keep the position. So we're now up into P14, just behind our teammate, coming towards what is the end of our phase on the hard tyres. Gutierrez has another little look down the inside, but he doesn't manage to take the place back from us, and we hold on to it as we move towards the end of the lap, and this is towards the end of lap number 21. As I mentioned, coming to the end of our phase on the hard tyres, so we're coming in for what is the medium tyre now, so we'll finish out the race on the medium tyre, the faster tyre. And as everybody else was on the medium tyres, and while I was on the hard, I'm hoping that it'll be the complete opposite as we come in. Another 2 seconds flat, actually a little bit quicker, 2.020. So the Renault pit stop boys, they cannot be faulted for whatever happens in this Grand Prix. They have been absolutely amazing today, as we come out just behind Kvyat, but importantly just ahead of Felipe Massa on those hard tyres. So now we've got the opportunity to have a charge as Sebastian Vettel's race comes to a premature end for the 3rd time in a row. So he hit the safety car in China, he had a big accident at the start of the Russian Grand Prix, and now once again he is out of the race with what I believed was engine failure. I didn't actually get a clip of what happened, but I believe it was engine failure. As you can see at the left hand side of your screen, you can just see at the top there the Ferrari parked up and stationary, with his race coming to a very premature end once again. So a rotten season so far for Sebastian Vettel, as we move on to what is the end of the safety car period and the end of lap number 29. Again, my exit from the final corner is not good at all, as Felipe Massa in that very powerful Mercedes powered Williams is coming past us, and he actually takes the place back, so he's now up into 13th. So the safety car period, which was actually a blessing for me because it gave me a chance to save some tyre life and have a really good charge on the guys ahead of me towards the end of the Grand Prix, of which for the most part all of them are on the hard tyres. So I knew I'd have the quicker tyre going into the final phase of the Grand Prix, but our start after the safety car and coming through that final corner really cost us. So, but we are going to actually get the position back now, again through our favourite overtaking position on the circuit. We make the move stick, and we get past Felipe Massa once again in the same position. So we're back up now into 13th position as we come through. This is lap number 32, I believe. We're now back up on the back of Jenson Button. So we've had to try and track him down again after our poor start following the safety car period. And again, our favourite position on the track to make overtakes. We're going to make another one. We get down the inside of Jenson, and there's not much he can do. So we take the position, and we're up into 12th as we come on to the start of the very last lap. So we've got Danny Kvyat just ahead of us. We've got DRS wide open. Here we go. Fuel set to rich. And we have a big dive down the inside. We make contact with Kvyat, which hangs him out to dry, and he loses positions to Button and Massa also. So that drops him back into 14th place as we move towards the end of the final lap. I've made up a lot of time to Fernando, but it's not enough. I'm really pushing it as hard as I can as I run wide through the first part of the chicane, and it's not going to be enough. He was about 2 seconds ahead after I got past Kvyat, but as much as I pushed, I just couldn't close the gap, and we have to settle for what is 11th place. So we achieved the goal of finishing 12th or higher, but we didn't manage to get points at the Spanish Grand Prix, as Lewis Hamilton actually wins the race ahead of Ricciardo and Verstappen there, which is his first win of the season and the second one in a row for Mercedes. So their updates that they brought to the start of this Grand Prix have definitely helped, and they are now going to be on a chance to try and retake the lead in the Constructors' Championship and have a run at Kimi Raikkonen, who actually leads the Drivers' Championship also. So there you have it, guys. 11th place, a little bit disappointing to be honest, as I had really good pace on the medium tyres, but that last lap there was just so many mistakes. And as I mentioned, throughout the whole race, I was really having to fight the car. The balance just was all over the shop. I was getting so much oversteer through a lot of the corners, and some of the slow speed corners I was getting a lot of understeer as well. So 11th place, not too bad. We met the target. We beat Carlos Sainz as far as I'm aware as well, and we beat our teammate also. So all in all, not too bad. But I think if that race had, if the race had gone on like an extra lap, I would have been able to catch Fernando Alonso and maybe one of the guys ahead of him as well. And if I hadn't have made so many mistakes on the last lap as well, I might have been able to have a crack at Fernando coming into the last 5 or 6 corners, maybe just off the second straight in the first DRS zone. But there we go. There's the results. 11th, Hamilton wins from Ricciardo and Verstappen. Rosberg went backwards. Perez did really well. He went on a one-stop strategy, as did Hulkenberg, and they came from 12th and 13th to finish 6th and 8th. Grosjean moved up from 11th, but myself, Fernando and Jensen, we all went backwards there. Looking a bit further down, my teammate Jolyon Palmer finished 16th. Carlos Sainz finished 15th, and the usual suspects. And again, like I mentioned, a really rotten race for Sebastian Vettel. That's 3 races in a row that he's gone out and not been able to finish the race. So he had the safety car in China. He had a big accident at the first corner in Russia, and then obviously he's had his problems today and not finished again as well. So, moving on to the Drivers' Championship. So, Raikkonen still leads, but now only 8 points from Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen drops to 3rd. Then we've got Rosberg, Ricciardo, Vettel, Bottas, Perez has jumped me, and I've dropped down into 9th place now. So, still ahead of Carlos Sainz, but again, really could have done with the points for this race as well. The Constructors' Championship, Mercedes jump ahead of Ferrari as they drop down to 3rd. So both Mercedes and Red Bull have jumped Ferrari. Then you got Force India have jumped ahead of Williams, and we're still sat there in 6th place. So the resource points did pretty well on this. We got 104 resource points, so still not enough to do that second downforce upgrade, which I think is really going to hurt us going into Monaco, as it is very much a downforce intensive kind of circuit there. We've got the first upgrade, which is good, but again, it didn't really help us around here. So I'm thinking we might have some problems trying to find the right balance and setup going into Monaco. The driver update, or the driver rivalry update, I've beaten Carlos Sainz, so we're very close to winning our second rivalry. We're full 12 points ahead, so half decent weekend in Monaco, and we're going to get the job done and beat Carlos Sainz. Driver position remains the same as I did. I hit all the targets to beat my teammate, and I remained 17th the higher in the Drivers' Championship. This we don't care about. But yeah, there we go. So we're not going to be able to do any upgrades, I don't think, or any upgrades that I'd really want to do. Looking at this, I mean, I could do a fuel update, but fuel efficiency seems fine as it stands at the moment. The big one I would have wanted to try and get done would have been this one, the monkey seat there. So it was always going to be a bit of a long shot going into the race, because we were about 200 points behind, so we would have probably had to win the race in order to get anywhere close to that. But there we go. So thank everybody so much for watching. If you did enjoy and you would like to see more, then please hit that like button. Again, apologies that it's taken so long to get this second one up. I've been kind of preoccupied with Forza, and of course my back as well has been playing up as per usual. But there we go. So next race is going to be Monaco. So again, thank you for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, stay cool, and as always, I will catch you on the flip side. Peace! Uh-oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh, no, oh no, no! Shit! Sorry, I've lost my tyres. Okay.